Hi guys, welcome to another edition of the Rangman Show. Today we have a very special guest in George Howson, who's a football enthusiast. He used to be a football writer also, and he's a very passionate content creator. I had the good fortune of writing for him some years back on Spotlight Pro. His footballing channel is called as Football Chronicle. We'll put the link in the description. Please do subscribe, like, and welcome, George.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction. It's good to be linking up again after all this time, Pranay. Yeah, long time ago in the
It's
days of
been 3 years, I
Spotlight
think.
Pro. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, George, we have Nishant also, who's my co-creator to the Rangman endeavor. And he's a Manchester United fan. You were everything Premier League, everything English football. So I thought, what's better than having a chat on a game that we so passionately love? So, Nishant, over to you for the
Unfortunately, if
first
I may add,
question.
at the moment,
Yeah.
an unfortunate Manchester United fan. I mean, I have no affiliation to the team in terms of like I know a lot of local teams. People have a affiliation to their local teams and everything. Though we do have affiliations with our local teams here, but a chance encountered in a of getting to watch the 1999 Champions League final kind of turned me into a United fan, and that was kind of, I mean, for a 10-year-old kid in India, you just who barely got cable TV and you just watch this game, like the last 25 minutes of this game, which you don't really understand. And then you finally see that this team losing 1-0, trying to hold on because I think Bayern kept battering at United at that point of time, kept battering, kept battering, kept battering, and then Sheringham scores a goal, and then Solskjaer scores the goal, and it was absolute pandemonium, absolute mayhem. So I think I didn't have a choice, and now I I don't know. I mean, I think I should have chosen wisely, but I guess you get stuck with the team that you like kind of choose in when you're like young, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be
So
fair,
George, tell me
oh, go on, sorry.
sorry. I think there's a bit of a lag, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say for a long time it did work out for you under Sir Alex. Man United were the team that everybody you either love them, you're either a fan of them, or you love to hate them here in England because they just won all the time. But since then, over the last 10 plus years or so, it's been difficult. It's been difficult to say the least. Every time you think that something's going to revive itself, whether it's Solskjaer, Mourinho, Ten Hag, or now Amorim, it just hits stumbling blocks. It's absolutely bizarre for such a giant club, but that's English football. It's so competitive. There's no guarantees, as United fans know all too well at the moment.
True, and you're right about the competitiveness of the game because I don't remember. I mean, especially I think since COVID, there's been a change of sorts where I see championship teams who come up. The gulf of quality between the championship teams who get promoted to the Premier League and the existing Premier League is so wide. I think in the last 2 or 3 seasons, all the teams that have been kind of promoted have been relegated immediately the next season. So there's a lot of mismatch. Would you not say that, like in terms of the quality?
Yeah, massively, massively. And as a diehard Sheffield United fan, I know all about that. We shipped over 100 goals last season and got relegated with an absolute whimper, as did Burnley and Luton, as are Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton this season. And I guarantee that if we get promoted this season from the Championship, we will be relegated from the Premier League next season. The financial gulf now, because of profit and sustainability, it is
Mm.
so hard to overcome. We are seeing, yeah, it's brilliant in England because of all the money that's flowing through. We're getting the best players and the best teams, but it has a knock-on effect where you get these teams that are trying to come in and break into that, and it is all but impossible to do so. So yeah, it's a really, really strange situation. I think something needs to change, but I don't know if it will, to be honest.
What do you think needs to change? I mean, in terms of greater parity, because I know that the Premier League clubs get a portion of the TV revenue
Hmm.
that is given to the teams. But and in terms of, I think PSR, I think there's a whole thing of, I don't know. I mean, the accounting geniuses in the big six, if I may say that. Like, especially, I think this was a trend that I don't think it was pioneered by Ed Woodward, but it was definitely like it came into forefront with when Ed Woodward used to manage United of basically treating players like depreciating assets. So it kind of
Mm.
like has this whole thing where the value of the player would depreciate over 6 seasons, so it'll help you uh, tackle your profitability ratio. Otherwise, you'll probably get screwed under the FPL rules of uh, fair play rules of Premier League. But even despite that, there is the gulf is too wide. For the longest time, I remember Norwich used to be the team who used to go up. It was like too good for the Championship, not too good for the Premier League. But now it's true for every team that goes up to the Premier League, and it is sort of killing not killing the competition. I think that would be a wrong thing to say, but I don't know. Like, I think it could do with more parity.
I agree. I think the biggest problem is that under PSR, teams in the Premier League can lose £105 million over 3 seasons, so £35 million a season. The problem is that to go up and be competitive in the Premier League now as a Championship side, you need to spend 100 million, £150 million. Now, we've seen that gamble pay off with Nottingham Forest, but they got a points deduction. They broke the rules to do it. And if they got relegated with having spent that much money, they'd be in an absolute world of financial hell at the moment. But as it is, they're in the top four and looking like they're going to get Champions League football. So that's the fine lines that are on at the end of the day. What I would do, and I think they are talking about making this change, what I would do is increase the amount of money that clubs are allowed to lose over 5 years, over 3 years. So probably double it to £200 million, something like that. Then that'll allow the teams that have the money to be able to spend to actually go and spend it. Because you're in a we see even further up the league with Newcastle. Newcastle have the richest football owners in the world,
Right.
but they can't spend that much money because if they do, they fall foul of PSR. They have to sell their players for huge profits. They'll probably have to do the same with Isak this summer in order to bring players in. So I think I would increase the amount they can lose, but I don't know if they'll do it because at the end of the day, it benefits the clubs that are already there. It increases the predictability of it. And we have a phrase here in England, turkeys don't vote for Christmas. So I'm not sure they'd ever bring it in, to be honest.
I kind of agree because while we used to support United while growing up and everything, there was Liverpool, there was Chelsea, there were all these traditional big clubs.
Nishant, say while I used to support United.
I still support
Don't
United.
make it generic, man. Don't make a V.
I still support the team. I support the team. I would
never,
cry
ever
and
liked
switch off
United.
games in the middle of the night, but I will still support the team. I mean, it's something that I can't help doing that, man. I mean, I would cry myself
No,
to
so
sleep
which
if I have
is
to.
fine. Just don't say
35 years
V.
old.
Just say I.
Okay, my bad. When I said we, I meant me and my friends back home. So when I used to have these, when I used to meet these people, a lot of I actually found out that there was a small but very passionate fan base for teams like West Brom, teams like Wolverhampton Wanderers. I had no idea about these teams, and when I like 10, 12 years ago or 15 years ago, as in no idea about these teams, as in no idea about who used to play in them because we used to get limited coverage and everything, right?
Blackburn
And
Rovers
then
also, right?
everything, Blackburn Rovers as well, yes. So that sort of change. And today, right now, I think we also have like dedicated fan clubs in India for practically every team in the Premier League and some part of the Championship as well. I think there's a QPR club in Bombay as well, as far as I remember.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's insane. Yeah, it is insanity. Like there are clubs, there are like small groups of people like that. But the issue that people kind of face is that after one point of time, you really do not sort of uh, get to watch these teams in action in the Premier League as well, right? Because again, like you said, the financial powerhouses that are there, not just the big six, but a couple of other teams who are kind of gaining up as well. Like you mentioned Newcastle and everything. While everybody's trying to cook up the books in some way or the other to make sure that, they can have like players they want and they can fit in their sort of things. But how do you see, while you said that, 200 million, we can increase it to 200 million and everything, but it does affect the lower levels as well, right? For example, I'll just give an example of this thing. Sunderland, you mentioned Nottingham Forest, right? Sunderland had back-to-back relegations, I remember, because of this particular financial struggle itself, right? So I honestly do not know if just increasing it to 200 million would be enough. I think has to be some sort of a, not a punitive thing, but some sort of a structured thing to the big six as well. Sort of like, if I may call it football communism or football socialism, that you give back to the lower league clubs in some way or the other, like that you have to take care of that. Maybe that is a way to go ahead, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's very sad to see when, there are teams who are like kind of battling up and down, who are trying to make it work, but it still is not really working in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, there's two different ways you could look at that. I mean, yeah, you're right. Sunderland did do back-to-back relegations from the Premier League not that long ago. It's not unheard of for that to happen. You could argue that that, in a sense, is Sunderland, well, in Sunderland's example anyway, getting punished for spending huge amounts of money on wages for players that did not reserve it. I think Jack Rodwell was on about 80 grand a week or something like
Yeah.
that, and he barely ever played. He was useless. So I think in Sunderland's case, it does just show the mismanagement of that club. Um, I mean, at the moment already there is a portion of the TV money for the Premier League that goes to the EFL, League One, League Two, and the Championship, the second through fourth tier in England. So that does help, but the amount of money that they give away, I think it's a really small amount relative to what the Premier League actually produces. So. I mean, if you go long enough back, if you go back to the days of the Premier before the Premier League, the whole reason why the Premier League was founded is because originally in English football, all the divisions one through four as it was known back then, so Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two as it's known now, they all had equal TV money, believe it or not. They all got 25%. So even the clubs way down at the bottom, they got around the same amount from TV money as what the Manchester Uniteds and the Liverpools and the Arsenals did at the top. And the Premier League broke away because they wanted more money. They didn't want to give more money back down to the leagues below. So they broke away. But the knock-on effect now is that the disparity between the top and the bottom is absolutely massive and it's growing all the time. And another problem as well is parachute payments. Teams that go down from the Premier League, they get parachute payments, and their parachute payments are, I think it's something like 2 or 3 times as much as what the other championship clubs get in TV revenue. So, for example, Sheffield United, Leeds, Burnley at the top of the Premier Championship at the moment, we get something like, I think something like 15, 20 million pounds a season because we were relegated from the Premier League. Whereas someone like Sunderland, because they've not been in the Premier League for a long time, they get like 5 million pounds in TV money. So that's another problem as well. But again, Turkeys don't vote for Christmas. They'll never vote it in because it benefits the Premier League to have that money. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of problems and there's not an easy solution. But while the football's entertaining, people will be, people will be entertained. People will be happy.
Which also brings me to another question, and I know, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot of money because I've been reading a lot about this
Good.
in terms of local supporters, basically, like in terms of, say, for example, a United supporter or a Chelsea supporter or a Liverpool supporter, even a Aston Villa supporter, for example, there have been basically Premier League wide complaints. I don't know if these complaints are there in Championship as well about the rise of ticket prices. And that has sort of hit people massively, especially the season ticket holders. Is what I've read that, a lot of season ticket holders, memberships are being revoked. I read a very incredulous case where a widow was asked to produce the proof of ticket on a will, the season ticket on a will or something like that, so that she could get access to the season ticket of her deceased husband. It is incredible. I do not know how that happens, but yeah, it is incredible. And it sort of keeps showing that, there's a lot of money being going at it, but the soul of the game kind of sort of gets disrupted, right? Because we have to also realize that the locals keep the game going, as far as I know. I mean, if you look at it, because we have clubs here as well. I have a club, like the club that I support back in Calcutta. I'm from Calcutta. I support Mohan Bagan, which has a massive following, which basically sees 50,000 people going to every game, which is unheard of in India. For every game, if 50,000 people go for a football game. There is a local ground support there. Now, if Mohan Bagan was to say become as big as I don't know, a Liverpool or a United or something like that, and if we were removed, we would feel horrible about it. So
Yeah, yeah.
is that prevailing sentiment there in the championship and lower leagues as well, or is it like a Premiership thing, Premier League thing?
So you're saying a
It's
diehard fan should always have subsidized entry. That's what you're saying.
I mean, I don't know about subsidized entry. There used to be like a ticket pricing cap to it for seniors and students and everything, and the tickets were supposed to be affordable. But right now, a father can't take his 4-year-old to a game because tickets are prohibitively priced in certain cases.
Mm. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that, and I'm afraid your club, Manchester United's been one of the worst offenders with it, really. So yeah, in general, there are concession tickets. They're called cheaper tickets for certain people. So old age pensioners, children, young adults, students, you can get cheaper tickets in general for that. But there are some clubs like Man United. I don't think there's many of them in fairness, but some of them have been removing the concessions, which I think it's terrible, really. I really do. The price of going to matches sometimes in the Premier League now is obscene. It's just too much money. But at the end of the day, again, while ever people are filling the stadiums, because the Premier League has something like a 99, 98% attendance rate for a capacity of the stadiums. There's very rarely any empty seats at all at any Premier League matches. So while ever the seats are being filled, they'll do it. But it is pricing out local supporters, yeah. It's nothing new, it's been happening steadily for a long time now. But like I don't have a season ticket anymore for my team, Sheffield United. I can't go on Saturdays for the most part. I go to the games when I can, but my goodness, the prices have gone up so much. And we're in the Championship now. Like I remember when we were in the Premier League in 2019, so before the pandemic, to get an adult ticket for a match would cost for me £25, something like that. That was in the Premier League. Now in the Championship, it's £35, the division below. If we go up, it'll be more. And then it's the same for season tickets too, and it's just incrementally being added up. There are some clubs that have done well. I think Liverpool have frozen their season ticket prices. I think Crystal Palace have done the same as well. But the vast majority are putting the costs up. And it's sadly, you got to vote with your wallet. If you don't like it, you're not going to go. But it's more than likely someone else will in your place because the Premier League's so popular.
But Nishant and George, I think even for the IPL in our country, it's pretty much similar. Like initially, the
Mm.
ticket prices were not that high, but with seasons, with the rising inflation, it's just bound to increase. And I don't think any club has a cap also that for our diehard fan, we'll keep the tickets at this slab and we want more turnouts. But I don't think that happens anyway because at least I can say for the IPL, the commercial interests are like of paramount importance.
But football is not a commercial, like it is a commercial sport, but let's be honest, it's more of a working man sport, right? Cricket is a very expensive sport to play. You need a leather ball, you need a willow, you need like proper pads and everything. Look at it from a logistical point of view as well. Cricket is something which is a very expensive sport to play as well. Football itself, technically you just need a football and you just need 11, 22 people working, playing the game together of sorts. So it is traditionally always been seen as a working man sport. And from what I've seen is that if you kind of freeze out local supporters, the spirit of Manchester United will not be Manchester United, or even for that matter, when City was not with what it is right now, the local supporters kept it going. They were known as the noisy neighbors in United, right? Like in Manchester, right? But the city, the citizens, the Blues, they kept it going. They kept it going. They kept it going. They kept it going. They keep the spirit of the club alive. So, and football, I mean, George, you probably agree with me. I do not know. I've just seen these things. It's considered almost as big as religion for certain things. I mean, I've seen churches where people babies are being baptized to be like we hope you'll play for our club or something like that. I hope my son will play for my local club and stuff like that. There is a lot of love for the game, and especially given the current economic downturn, a lot of people are not making a lot of money. There's the crisis that is going on. It's a very silent sort of an economic crisis, but there's war, everything that's going on. There's an economic slowdown. People are not making as much money before, and the prices of everything is going up. If you price out the thing that I love the most, which is watching my club play on a Saturday or a Sunday, what else am I going to do?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's that religion comparison is definitely something I agree with. A bunch of people gather in a same place once a week. They chant in unison. They congregate. There is a lot of similarities there, definitely. And yeah, if you start pricing out the local support, the passion goes. I mean, you know, I remember I first started going really, really regularly. I'm a first season ticket when I was about 18, 17, something like that. And that was in the days when we were in the third tier, we were in League One at Sheffield United. And, the stadium was half full, It was not a full stadium at all. But the fans that there were amazing. It was incredible. The atmosphere was electric, and away matches were unbelievable. We used to sell out everywhere we went away, and it was fantastic. I loved it. It's different now, though. The stadium's pretty much mostly full in the championship, but the atmosphere's just flat for the most part. There's bits where it picks up and stuff, but I do feel like a lot of local supporters have been priced out. It's a big problem. And yeah, while people are struggling to afford luxuries, it's a lot easier to go to the pub or be at home and watch the football if you want to do that than actually go into the stadium these days. And it's sad, but unfortunately, it's a reality of a lot of things these days.
Which is a little surprising because given the amount of exposure that English football itself is getting around the world, because we get to watch a lot of, I mean, we get Bundesliga, we get La Liga, we get Serie A, but all of us prefer watching English football because that's
That's
what
also because
most of us
Nishant, we
do
have
that.
easy access to that, right? The
That
Premier
is
League
true.
is the most easily
Which also reminds
accessible
me. Yes,
sport as compared to the Bundesliga or the
yes.
others. Yeah.
I mean, Bundesliga is still accessible, but I thank you, Pranay. You just
Like,
reminded me of something. Tell me something about what Sky is doing to football in the UK because a lot of people are complaining about matches not being available as well. Whereas us in India, we get to watch every single match on Hotstar. Like if there are five matches happening together, I would choose. I'm not trying to rub salt on your wounds, but it is what it is. Like I can watch any match that I can like choose to watch in India. But I see there are certain matches that are not covered by Sky, or you have to pay an extra premium for that. There's a cable uh, commission, there's a cable mafia, or whatever you want to call it.
so
It is there controlling what games people watch.
I think Nishant, something similar happens in South Africa also with Super Sport, which is the pay-per-view channel, and SABC, which is the local channel. So a lot of the local diaspora can't watch the Proteas play every match because the prices of the pay-per-view are so high. So I think from that regard, we are pretty blessed in India that we have access and it's pretty affordable. I think something similar happens in the UK also. George, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're absolutely right. So if sorry, it's a big echo there. I don't know who that is, but yeah. So there is a similar thing here. So the reason why it's not because of Sky. So we have to go all the way back to the 1960s for this. So football first started to be regularly televised in the 60s, and football clubs in England were very afraid about losing attendances because they thought, oh, if they start broadcasting matches live on television, no one's going to go into the stadium, which didn't happen. But they basically said that between the hours of 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. in England, there will be no football broadcast live at all. So any Premier League, any Championship, any football game at all that is broadcast that kicks off at 3 o'clock, which a lot of them do on a Saturday, they can't be broadcast live. It's known as the English TV Blackout. So that's why if you're in India or America or any other place in the world aside from England, you can watch every single game. But us in England, we cannot watch it live. It's illegal. And it's I know, and they need to change it. They've been lobbying to change it for years, but to this day, the clubs are like, no, we're not doing it. We don't want to do it. So there are a lot of games that aren't broadcast live in the UK because of that. And it's so farcical that I remember years ago, El Clasico was played, Barcelona and Real Madrid was played on a Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff. They couldn't broadcast it live in England, even though the game was being played in Spain. So they couldn't broadcast it live in England because of that rule. It's been in place now for over 60 years, that rule. It's an archaic dinosaur of a rule. But
How
unfortunately,
does
like a
that
lot of
even
things
make
in
sense?
No, it doesn't make it's ridiculous. It's been proven that people will want to go and watch the football. Football's doing amazing here. Having those games live on TV at 3 o'clock. So what that means, and you did mention it there, the mafia or whatever. A lot of people have ways of getting around that. So the illegal streaming market here in the UK, because of that, ironically, is massive, all because of a rule they've put on themselves.
Yeah, a lot of
Guys, we
people
have
get
about
arrested because of watching football on illegal streaming sites, is what I've
The
seen.
people, yeah, the people who organize it, yeah, there's been some big cases where people have done prison time because of it. But they're willing to do it because again, there's a lot of money in it, so it's a risk they take.
speaking about free versus paid, we have about 7.5 free minutes left on the Zoom podcast. So we're going to capitalize that because we really can't afford the paid part of it right now. So George, I just have one question for you. Your passion for the English national team. Just
Mm.
speak on that, and how do you see England progressing under the new coach Thomas Tuchel? They recently beat Albania, and how do you see them progressing in the World Cup? And just your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a really exciting side. That first game against Albania, it's not really representative. Albania just sat back and just tried to defend and try to go for a 0-0 as you'd expect. We're not going to really know how good the team is until we get to the World Cup. You can't prepare for that in qualifying. You can't prepare that with friendlies. It's just not on the same level of competition because we've not got that opposition. But I'm confident with Tuchel. Some people were very critical of the appointment. I think it makes sense. He's a very successful manager. He won the Champions League with Chelsea. He's someone who strangely is really looked down upon by his own people in Germany. They don't like him there. They don't rate him particularly, but I think he's a very good manager. And I feel like as well he's got a bit of a point to prove. Imagine if England faced Germany in the World Cup final and he beats them. I'd love to see it. But I think we've got a really exciting side. We've got some fantastic players in there, a lot of young players that are coming through that look really, really good. I think we have to be considered one of the favourites for the World Cup next year. But it's going to be tough. Argentina are fantastic. They're the defending champions. Spain very rightly beat us in the Euros final last year. They absolutely deserved it. And you can never discount the likes of Germany, even the Netherlands as well. I feel like, and France, of course, too. So it's going to be tough, but I think we are definitely one of the contenders for it, and I'm optimistic.
Shant, you want to add something to this, and accordingly, let's just end the podcast.
No, wait, the Tuchel part makes complete sense because when he took over that Chelsea team, it didn't look like it'll go anywhere, and they kind of like surprisingly he kind of outmaneuvered Pep to a degree where I saw that final, by the way, that Champions League final, and I was like, "Yeah, Man City is going to like completely run over Chelsea. There's no way Chelsea is going to hold up." But the way the game was he kind of like tactically outforced Guardiola in that game. So you have a uh, tactical magician, if I may say. The only thing about him is I think he's a little mercurial. I don't know. He has bursts where I don't know his tactics just go for a toss sometimes. I don't know. Like I don't know if he's that adaptive, but he's definitely like a magician for sure. On
Mm.
his day, he can beat sort of the greatest manager of all time. He can beat God if he has to. Thomas Tuchel is that manager on his day, but it has to be his day.
Mm.
I'm sure come the next World Cup, all days are his days. That England's playing.
Hopefully. Hopefully, yeah.
So George, how's your experience been coming on the Rangman Show? It was great having you, and any message that you would want to give to our viewers, and then we can call this a wrap.
Well, yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. It's been a great discussion with you guys. Thanks for having us on. I appreciate you putting the link to my football channel in the comments. If you want to see more from me, I do go in depth with things like the England national team, Premier League, any kind of financial stuff happening with football. I do it on the footballchronicle.com. There's plenty of articles as well on the website. My main thing is Formula One in terms of the YouTube channel there. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. We're nearly there on that, so I'm really proud of that. But yeah, it's been a fun experience. It's been a good discussion with you guys. And yeah, we'll maybe do it again sometime. I'm always up for another chat. So yeah, fantastic meeting you as well for the first time, Nishant.
Thanks, George. It was lovely
Thanks,
meeting you
thanks,
as well.
George. So, guys, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll bring you more meaningful content. This was George from the UK, Nishant and me from Bombay signing off. Thank you.